It's the Cohn Zone meets the Krug Show live from New Orleans. Good afternoon, everybody. That's Larry Krueger. I'm Grant Cohn. Both of us are still hanging out in New Orleans because we wanted to save about $1,000. It was very expensive to fly home. Any Niner fans who flew home today, what were you thinking? You could have saved money. You could have hung out with me and Larry. Larry, how you doing? It's really hot. Uh-oh.
There we are.
You back? How you doing, Larry?
Good, man. Good. We're having some Wi-Fi issues. I think we were fine earlier, but I think we're good now.
Thing about New Orleans is that nothing has really been updated since Katrina, and it's a good town, but it's not the most technical. Everything here was made in 1912, so we're doing the best we can. We just got off the phone with Kyle Shanahan. We did his conference call, and guess what, Niner fans? More of your favorite players are hurt. Let's start with one that may not be, so detrimental to the team, although it's not good for his season. Ben Bartch, high ankle sprain. We knew he was hurt. He's going to be out Kyle just said for quite some time. He may not have a starting job when he comes back because the rookie did a pretty good job in his absence. What do you think of Bartch going down and Connor Colby stepping up?
It's interesting because Bartch, I don't think, has played more than 5 or 6 NFL games without getting hurt. So, I hate to call somebody injury prone, but I think he's injury prone. And as far as Colby, I think Colby's got a lot of talent. 19 true pass sets. He didn't allow a single hurry, a single sack, or a single pressure. PFF gave him a good grade. I think by the time Bartch is ready to return, Colby is going to be on a level that he's not getting that job back. I think Connor Colby is going to be the 49ers left guard going forward.
I think what's intriguing about Ben Bartch is his ability as a run blocker. He's pretty big and he moves pretty well in space, and he did grade pretty well as a run blocker, but he can't stay healthy. And I feel like if you're an offensive lineman who can't stay healthy, then you're not a starter, because you need continuity on offensive line. You can't keep rotating people in. And with Connor Colby, it seems like he can at least stay healthy. And I think what's impressive about him, especially for a guy who was a 7th round pick, is his pass protection. He didn't necessarily grade out so well in pass protection in college, but so far, especially in this game, it seemed like he was rock solid in pass sets, as you mentioned. Didn't give up one pressure.
Yeah, he's well coached in that area. I talked to Chris Forster about this summer because I asked Forster, hey, what do you think of him as a pass blocker, thinking he was going to shred him, because I thought Colby was just getting worked in the one-on-ones. And he said, I know he doesn't look good in the one-on-ones at pass protection, but those don't matter. What matters is 5-man protection, and you have to have timing. You have to be well coached. You have to know when to combo block, when not to. And he's just how
to identify stunts, how to pick them up.
Yeah. So I think this guy had 50 career starts. So I think Colby is, and he's really well coached. And Forster said it's the same scheme. Iowa's got the same scheme as the Niners. So this guy's a ready-made player. And I thought the Niners looked really good. I thought he looked really good. I ISO'd on him today. I went through the whole thing. I thought he looked fantastic. I really did.
I do too. And I think if he plays well, you got to give him the starting job because, he's under contract for 4 more years. He's a young guy. You want him to grow into the role. My one concern isn't with, I guess, just him, but the offensive line in general. Through a couple of games, the Niners are averaging, this is true, 3.2 yards per carry, which is 29th in the league. And I know that I've been hard on Christian McCaffrey, and I've been making the point all offseason that he's not what he used to be. And I don't think he is, but he's running well. I don't think that's a reflection of Christian McCaffrey. I'm not that excited about Brian Robinson Jr., honestly. He looks like he doesn't have much juice, but to me, that's an offensive line stat. And it's been a little troubling, the run blocking so far. Maybe they'll get it together with more time on task, but I don't know. What are you seeing from the run blocking?
Well, first of all, Seattle, I think, is a little bit better than we think. That's one. 2, I just saw what I'm seeing is a lot of pre-snap, filled boxes. They're not, the Niners are not running against light boxes. They're running against stacked boxes more times than not. So it's hard to run against
the 45 dropbacks for Mac Jones.
Well, they did throw it a lot in this game. I think especially at the beginning, Kyle came out and just said, "Hey, look, see, the Saints gave up 5-4 carry in week 1. They're going to be better on run defense. They're going to be looking to stop the run. So we're going to come out throwing it." So ultimately, Kyle's a big balance guy. He won't throw it or pass or run it a ton. He's not like a Harbaugh who's going to stick with the run. He wants balance, but I think it's a little concerning now. If the 49ers 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, still are running, into a wall, 3 yards of carry, and guys are getting hurt, then maybe they need some changes personnel wise on their line. But the one thing about the line, Grant, that I think a big key. It's a big part. It's a position that needs cohesiveness, and they really didn't play together this summer. So I think more so than any other position, you got to give the O line 3-4 weeks to kind of see if it comes together and looks a little bit more cohesive.
And the good news, it's like you got a young left guard who's ascending. You got a young right guard who's a good player. You got a right tackle in his prime who still seems to be improving. Like, he's having a pretty good season so far after getting paid. And Trent Williams really struggled week 1. I thought he had a nice bounce back performance in this game. I mean, this group collectively helped Mac Jones play his best ball, although Mac Jones helped himself in certain ways too. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but you really got to give the pass protection credit against the Saints. Now, they were facing the Saints. That always helps. Still.
Saints had a good week the week before pass rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints had 5.5 sacks against Kyler Murray. And they've got Granderson ain't no joke. I'll tell you that. He is a really good pass rusher, and Cam Jordan is older and he's a former inside guy, now outside. But that was the strength of the Saints is their defensive front seven. So, I thought the Niners did a pretty nice job, actually, all things considered.
It's interesting that the Niners are averaging just 5.2 yards per play. That's way below what they usually do, just 3.2 yards per carry. It's 2 weeks. It's a small sample size. Weird stuff happens in early September, but I just can't see the Niners making a serious run without a dominant run game. Every time they've made a run to the NFC Championship game or further, they've had one of the best running games in the league. And I still think they have one of the better running backs in the league, but they got to figure out this run blocking. They probably will over time. I mean, outside zone is like 5 guys in a conga line. You kind of have to time it up correctly, and we'll see if they can. I mean, once Trent Williams gets his feet underneath him, they'll be at least be able to run to the left side.
I mean, right now, they don't have any speed. I mean, look at this team. I mean, as far as wide receiver, I mean, Demarcus Robinson, even though he's not a 40-yard dash time guy, he can get down the field and make plays down the field. Watkins runs in the 4.3s. Cowing runs in the 4.3s. They haven't gotten on the field. They're leaning on older guys for the most part. And the guys that do have speed, like MVS, are just so new to their whole system that they can't really complete passes to them. So, yeah, I think they're going to be more dynamic than they've been. But there's not a lot of speed on I mean, if I were defending the 49ers, I'd almost hug up on them and just dare them to throw it over the top of my head and see, just crowd their receivers. Cause I don't see outside of Watkins and Cowing, they don't have receivers that can run. JJ's slow. Aiyuk's hurt. Pearsall can run a little bit, but he's hardly a burner. They don't, I mean, compared to some teams that have lots and lots of speed guys, they don't really have a ton of speed. So they're going to need to develop their speed guys. And then I think Demarcus Robinson is going to give them much more of a downfield threat when he gets healthy, or when he gets off suspension, I should say.
Speaking of the wide receivers, speaking of Jauan Jennings, it's always something with Jauan Jennings. He seems fine after the game. He talks to the media. He's not limping around. He's in a good mood. And then on Monday, he's on the injury report. All offseason, it was his calf. That's not an issue anymore. Last week, it was his shoulder. Wasn't on the injury report this week. Now it's his ankle. So, I don't know. What's your reaction when you hear about the latest? What do you want to call it? Is it even an injury or the nicked? He's nicked up. What do you think about the latest instance of Jauan being nicked up?
You know what? I think it's a really interesting thing. On one hand, Grant, he is the guy, when you put money on the table, JJ shows up. But now I'm starting to get the feeling that when money ain't on the table, he ain't going to show up no more.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, oh, you want to pay me $7 million this year? Guess what? I'm hurt for every practice, but I feel good on game day.
I'm Mr. Game Day.
Thing.
I can.
You want me to practice? Pay me.
Yeah.
Pay me. Yeah.
You can get
So
hurt in
I think he's going to
practice.
play.
I think he is literally the wide receiver equivalent of Trent Williams right now in their eyes. Obviously,
Yeah.
Trent's a Hall of Famer, but Jauan's got Hall of Fame status almost in the eyes of Kyle and John because of they love him. He's a dog, and he is a money player. But I'm getting the feeling that when there ain't no money on the table, he ain't going to do shit. So I don't think he's going to show up for practice. I don't think he's going to practice much. It's not that he's dogging it. I just don't think he thinks he needs it. And I don't think he's going to, I think he'll practice sparingly the whole season.
I kind of feel that too. Now, maybe Jawan's watching and he's like, wait a second, I love practice. My ankle hurts. Possible.
Yeah,
But
possible.
we don't know. But I guess to take him seriously, he's on the injury report a lot. He's been on the injury report a lot throughout his career, which is, I think, a function of how he plays the game and also probably a reason not to extend him. I mean, he's hurt all the time, a little hurt all the time. So maybe better to have him on a year-to-year type of a contract so he has at least incentive to be on the field on game days because he really does bring it on game days, no matter what.
They love him. They want him back. I think they're gonna let him because he's got a big payday coming, right? I mean, Colton took the money, and Jauan and his agent Rosenhaus took a little bump with the sights set on March. So that's what he's all about is March. So I mean, I think it's if you're the Niners, you want to be popular with JJ, and he's such a big money guy, he's going to show up on game day. So let him do whatever he wants through practice all season long. I don't care. Kyle, I know, doesn't care. It just doesn't matter. I mean, you got all these other guys. I mean, Aiyuk makes big cash. I mean, Debo was making good cash, but where were those guys on Super Bowl Sunday compared to JJ? So I'm at a point now where I see their love for JJ. I understand why they want to replicate him, and I would absolutely clone him if I could. And I'd let him not practice. I don't need him to practice. I need him on game day. And if he wants to not practice all year, you know what? I got no problem with that.
You got Ricky, you got Demarcus Robinson, and the three of those guys together. Even if Aiyuk never comes back this year and he's really more of a factor next year, that's a pretty good trio, especially when Kittle does come back. And I think what's cool about Jennings is he really carries himself like the alpha of the group. And I think the rest of the players look at him as the alpha of the group. Even when Aiyuk was healthy and Debo was here, Jennings legitimately acted like he was better than them. And sometimes he is, man. I mean, he really took over that game against the Saints in ways that Ricky Pearsall can't quite do just yet. It's a hell of a player.
He's not just the alpha of the group because you're talking about receivers. I think he's the alpha of the room.
Yep.
I mean, the entire team. I think he's kind of like the guy. So yeah, I mean, I got no problem with JJ doing his thing, and I don't think they do either. They know he's going to show up on game days, and they're trying to help him get to free agency healthy, but at the same time achieving their goals. And their goals are all about their goals aren't about practice. Their goals are about playoffs and winning and that kind of thing. So I agree with you though. I think he's so key for them, and they love him so much. You know what's interesting? If he has a great year, he's probably gone. Because I do, even though they love him and respect him, they're not going north of 20 million for him. And so if his market grows beyond their means, then he's going to have a tough decision to make because they're not going to break their they're not going to break their budget for him, but they love him and they're going to give him every one of these things. It doesn't cost money. JJ doesn't want to practice. Great, make him happy. JJ doesn't want to do this. Great, make him happy. Oh, JJ wants 20 million. No. We're not giving him 20 million, but if he still wants to, not practice, and we're all about that. So I think that's.
But the main reason they can't give him 20 million is because they gave Aiyuk 30 million. And I wonder if they could go back in time and undo the Aiyuk contract, if they'd be more open to paying Jennings, because $20 million for a wide receiver is pretty tame in today's market. And I think that he went from a guy in the Super Bowl who was looked at as a high level number 3 receiver, who to me is now a high level number 2. I mean, can you imagine? He'd be an upgrade over Cooper Kupp next to JSN in Seattle. He'd be a really nice number 2 next to Marvin Harrison Jr. in Arizona. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use Jauan Jennings today and would probably be willing to pay him $21 million a year if he can at least stay healthy this season and prove that last year wasn't a fluke, which it probably wasn't.
You know what? You just jogged a thought in my mind. And I think that I would put my money on this outcome. If you said to me, how's the JJ thing going to proceed and progress beyond this year? You kind of put an idea in my mind. You're right. They can't pay him Aiyuk money because they're paying Aiyuk money. But they can let Aiyuk get healthy, trade Aiyuk, and give that money to JJ. And if I had to bet what's going to happen, I would bet on that.
I mean, Jauan has just made himself such a critical member of this team. And it's not that Aiyuk isn't, it's just that he's not. I mean, he's kind of become a peripheral figure. You don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. He's overpaid, and he's not the alpha that Jauan is. He's not energetic like Jauan. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I'm trying to say.
He's not as dependable.
How's that?
As Jauan. But I do think the more I think about it, the Niners love Jauan today. And they're not going to stop loving him tomorrow because we know why they love him. They love him because he plays big in big games. So they're going to play in big games this year. He's going to play well in those big games. And then my guess is they're going to get Aiyuk back on the field late in the year, let him, play his game. And then in the early off season, move Aiyuk for some underwhelming package of picks and give that money to JJ. That would be if I had to guess what's going to happen, I think I'm guessing that. Because
don't think the Niners,
there's a market for Aiyuk.
I agree. I just don't think the Niners are going to mess with Jennings this year because he could be the Travarius Ward or Devondre Campbell. Like if they were to bury him on the depth chart because he's not practicing and say we got Aiyuk and Robinson and Pearsall, sorry, I think he'd flip out. And the Niners right now, with one of the things they have going for them is that their locker room seems tight. They seem to like each other. They seem to be having fun. Jake Moody's gone. Debo's gone. Like all the negativity and dark clouds that were hanging over this team. Devondre Campbell's gone. And it seems like they're enjoying each other's presence. Jauan could upset that if the Niners don't do right by him. And I think they understand that. So I would expect him to keep getting a lot of targets.
One thing that's really interesting is that if you don't kill it in the draft, you have to dive in on free agency. If you dive in on free agency, you're adding veterans to your room. If you add the wrong kinds of veterans to your room, Devondre Campbell, you pay the price. So look at the veterans they added this year. Demarcus Robinson, he's been fantastic. I mean, I know the fans haven't seen him yet, but we saw him all summer. He was great. Mac Jones was a great addition. Bryce Huff was a great addition. I think they took more time in looking into the kinds of people and the motivations of the guys that they brought into the room, veteran-wise, because those guys have an influence. And you're right, though. I totally agree with you. I think there was a vibe last year that was all wrong, and it was hard to put your finger on it. And then it just bubbled to the surface late in the year. But they don't have a Devondre Campbell. They don't have a guy in the room who's like, maybe Brian Robinson could be Devondre Campbell if they totally never gave him the ball. I could see him going south
because he's in a contract
never
year.
gave him the ball.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they brought in guys that are adding to their mix and adding to their room, not in any way going, hey, you know what? In Jacksonville, we did it this way. In Washington, we did it. That kind of stuff is what NFL coaches. That's the reason they don't like going into the free agent market because everybody's got their own. Hey, man, Jaguars coaches were good with this. Well, that's them.
Okay, one more injury we learned. This was bizarre. Maybe people don't care, but they could in the future. Spencer Burford hurt his knee, and I mean, I didn't even know that he played. He's on special. He played 5 special team snaps. There were some kicks. He was on the field, hurt his knee. Knee's always significant. Kyle Shanahan was asked about it in a follow-up, and he was like, well, someone's like, is it day-to-day? And he's like, yeah, for now, but we're going to have to figure out what to do about it, which means to me, that surgery isn't off the table. So something to monitor, but this is the Trent Williams backup. Trent Williams doesn't play full seasons. He almost didn't play in this last game. This to me this position, the backup left tackle is an important position on this team. I think it's as important as the backup quarterback position. So if Burford has to miss time, who's the backup left tackle?
I don't think it's on the team. I don't think he's on the team. I actually think they broke camp as a 2-tackle team. Yeah. You have McKivitz and you have Williams. And after that, I don't see it. Now, I know people who follow my content. I've raved endlessly in the OTAs about Austin Pleasance because he really did look great. He was big and powerful, explosive, except he just can't do it.
Yeah.
I found out in the summertime he just can't do it. He got worked by speed. He got worked by bull rushes, and he couldn't stand up to power. I mean, if you can't stand up to a bull rush and you're slow out of your stance and you're whiffing on Bryce Huff,
You can't play.
you can't play. And
can't play.
if you have tackles that can't play, then you're going to have a team that's done because your quarterback's going to get killed. So I've been saying it for about a month. I don't think they have a backup tackle. I think they got a real major league problem if either one of their tackles go down. I will be interested to see if they turn this injury, and I'm not saying it's not legit, into a different offensive tackle. I would not be surprised if the 49ers use draft capital in 26 or some draft capital in the future to go find a better third tackle, because I think they know what I know, which is, I'm not going to say it publicly, but they were at all the practices I was at, and they know football better than I do. And they know that those guys can't do it. So I'm surprised they haven't gotten another tackle in there yet.
It seems like they're one injury away to Trent from Austin Pleasance playing left tackle.
Which is a really, I don't think people understand what a nightmare that is. Carl Granderson would have probably knocked out Mac Jones yesterday if Trent and McKivitz didn't play.
So that's not great. I don't. Bad luck. It's football. He played 5 snaps. He got hurt. It's his knee. But I mean, I think they were sort of walking a tightrope here to begin with. You haven't drafted an offensive tackle since you drafted Spencer Burford and Jalen Moore 4 years ago. You're adding guys like Austin Pleasance off the scrap heap at a position that's as, hard to find talent as quarterback. It seems to me that the Niners have proven they can withstand a loss to their starter at quarterback. Brock Purdy went down, they won. George Kittle went down, they won 2 games. But if Trent goes down, I don't know how many teams they can beat. If Christian goes down, I don't know how many teams they can beat. Those 2 guys might be the most irreplaceable players in the team.
And tackle is offensive tackle is probably, outside of quarterback, probably the hardest position in the whole league to fill. You never see good tackles. There's no Brock Purdy good tackle story. Oh, he was the last pick in the draft. I guess maybe
Jordan Mailata is the closest one you can think of, but it's
Jordan
that's because he was a dominant athlete in another sport who didn't know how to play football.
Right. He didn't play college. He was like rugby, or I think rugby.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, and he's 6'8", 365, super athletic.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if I were John Lynch, I think I would go, take my 5 or 6 extra scouts that I have who aren't doing much and just tell them, search the freaking globe for a Jordan Mailata. Go search the globe. Go look at basketball players. Go look at rugby players. Go find me a 6'8", 350-pound guy with great feet, and then we'll take a chance on that guy.
You know who was the closest one to that the Niners have taken, that late round traitsy offensive tackle? It was about 10 years ago? Trent Brown.
It worked.
Trent Brown. As opposed to taking the Justin Schools of the world or just stocking up on guards, because the Niners love guards and they can find some good ones. Shoot big for someone like that. The reason I like the Alfred Collins pick, even though he's been pretty bad so far, it's Trent Brown's cousin. He's got traits. He's got the feet. He's got the size. And if it doesn't work out for Alfred Collins at D tackle, they can put an offensive tackle. They can move an offensive tackle there.
Well, I was thinking as I was watching New Orleans yesterday, I kept thinking to myself, this is going to be a team to keep on speed dial for later in the year. If you lose a back, you want Kamara. If you lose a receiver, they have an Olave. If you need an edge rusher, they have a Granderson. I'm looking at their offensive line. They have Banks at left tackle, the rookie, and Fuaga, the right tackle from Oregon State.
They got a center,
Trevor Penning, who was a first-round pick as well. They have Dylan Radunes. I don't know. I mean, I have not done the deep dive on every team's offensive line, but I mean, there's got to be.
I think every player on that offensive line is a first-round pick or a second-round pick. Cesar Ruiz.
But look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's stacked on the offensive line.
Yep.
Let me see their practice squad. They got to have somebody on their practice squad, offensive line wise. They have Luke Felix Fuatolo and Holland Pierce. They have Holland Pierce. If you want to take Holland Pierce, who's the 6'8", 350-pound offensive tackle from Rutgers, who they've kind of moved to guard, probably because he's too slow. I mean, they have him on their practice squad. But I would, you don't find great tackles on the practice squad. You don't find great tackles, typically on the street. This is why the situation is so dire. It's like, because these guys are impossible to find. Like, if the Niners really do want to add to their tackle situation, they probably have to trade a 26 draft choice.
Yikes.
Probably reality.
Okay, let's pause. Oh, for some prize picks, because we're sponsored by Prize Picks over here this week. Well, on my channel. This week we're doing the Thursday night game coming up, since the Monday night game's already, well, at least one of them's going right now. Let's do Josh Allen. And the way it works is there's a range, 4 ranges of his passing yards. You pick which one you think. 201 or less. This is against Miami. 202 to 229, 230 to 261, or 262 plus for Josh Allen.
262 plus. He's coming off a bad game in week 2, and I think he'll bounce back with a big game. I think he's
against Miami.
He's got a 300-yard day in there.
Yeah, it seems like Miami's actively trying to get their coach fired, or he's actually trying to get himself fired. James Cook, 46 or fewer rushing yards, 47 to 64, 65 to 86, or 87 plus.
I like that lower. I like that more in the middle.
47 64?
Yeah, I like right in that range. Yep.
What do you think of James Cook?
I mean, I really like him as a receiver. I as a runner, he runs upright. He doesn't have real bulk and heft. I don't know if he's a true bell cow back. Like, I don't know if I would feel good if that was the only back I had as far as durability, but there's some dynamic traits there for sure. That's Dalvin Cook's little brother.
Right. He's a nice compliment to Josh Allen. Like, if you just had him in an I formation on a team like with like Jared Goff as their quarterback, I wouldn't be scared of him. But since Josh Allen is such a freaking load and he can do all the power running that James Cook can't, he's a nice secondary back. If you think of Josh Allen as the lead back, which he kind of is, So
I like him. I mean, he's a good back, but like, they have also All Day Ray Davis from Kentucky, who's a San Francisco kid, believe it or not.
All Day Ray?
Yeah, All Day Ray is he's kind of a bell cow guy, but he's not as dynamic as Cook.
About Tyreek Hill, 46 or fewer, 47 to 68, 69 to 95, or 96 plus.
I like 96 plus. I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a producer early on for them. You know why? Because I think he understands the dynamic at play here. He's got $56 million cap hit next year. The odds of him getting traded at the deadline on this bad Dolphins team are pretty good. So I think he's going to go on a contract drive in the first half of the year. Not a contract drive, but just kind of like a, hey, I'm still here kind of a drive, and there'll be a big trade market for him at the end of October.
That's true, because he hasn't really done much the last year or so, but if he has a good couple of weeks, he's back in the conversation.
And he had a good week too.
What's that?
He was good yesterday.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So he's back. Good call. Devon Achane, 39 or fewer rushing yards, 40 to 57, 58 to 78, or 79 plus.
Who are they going against?
Miami.
Oh, he is Miami.
Buffalo.
I'll go lower. I think Achane's going to have some big days, but I think he's under 60 yards in that game.
Okay, that sounds good to me. That's our entry. I'm going to finalize it. You guys want to play as well? Download the app. Use promo code COHN. Play 5. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you use that promo code COHN. And again, the app is available in 47 states, including California and Texas. So here's the big topic that I thought this game was so interesting because of Mac. I mean, It was the Saints, and the Saints suck. Sorry, New Orleans, but they do. And they won by 5. The Niners won by 5. It wasn't really their A team. So I don't know how much you could really take from the game. They won a game they're supposed to win. But Mac Jones was interesting. I don't know what you expected from him. Did he meet your expectations? Did he exceed your expectations? And how would you sort of compare and contrast him to Brock? Like, how did the offense look different with Mac out there?
I was expecting Mac to be running for his life and to really struggle potentially because I just thought there was, behind this line that, got Brock Purdy hit 8 times. Mac's not nearly as mobile, but I thought the offensive line did a pretty nice job. I mean, there were several times they really held up for more than a few seconds. I also like the fact that Mac had that 13-yard scramble was that in the first half on the first score. I don't think that was a great run by him. So, I'll tell you the one thing that I'm impressed. There's 2 things that impressed me about Mac. When he told us before training camp that he practiced in the heat of July, trying to learn the playbook in his pads by himself.
Yeah.
Now, if that's a true story, that's dedication to put on pads by yourself in sweaty Jacksonville in July and try to go out there in the field. And, so I thought that was impressive. And then I'm very impressed by how there's a lot of footwork that you have to have down to run the short game, the quick game, and all the stuff around the line of scrimmage, the hitches and the boots and all the stuff that the Niners love to do with Brock Purdy. They're not going to change the offense for Mac Jones. So it was incumbent on Mac Jones, Grant, to get his footwork up to speed. And I think his footwork has been better than Darnold's. I don't think Darnold worked at his footwork nearly like Jones. I thought there were I counted at least 4 plays yesterday where if Mac's footwork is wrong, he's not completing the pass, and yet his footwork is on point. So this guy's put in the time. I think he knows, Grant, that if he sucks here, he's done as a starting quarterback. If you can't start on this San Francisco team with all these weapons and Kyle Shanahan, nobody's going to ever give you a starting job again. So he's playing like his career is in the balance. There's a sobering reality to the way he's playing, and I think he wants it. I think he's going to succeed here. I'm not surprised that he did well. I thought he would do well in this game, but I was a little surprised he came out throwing. But I love his footwork, and I think he's a good fit in this offense.
I loved the confidence that Kyle Shanahan showed in Mac by calling not just 39 passes, but 45 dropbacks. There were 6 scrambles in there. That's something that Kyle doesn't do very much for his quarterbacks. And if he does it, it means he really believes in you. And I think that Mac Jones showed why Kyle believes in him, showed why Kyle probably wanted him 4 years ago in the draft. And I think, like you, I expected him to be harassed, to be slow, to get sacked a lot. And he did get sacked 3 times and fumble once. But I'm looking at some stats here. This is from Akash, who does a great job. He said that Mac Jones' average time to throw held onto the ball for an average of 2.81 seconds in this game. Now, in comparison, 2022 Brock, he average time to throw for Brock Purdy in 2022, 2.84. 2023, it went to 2.88. 2024, it went up to 2.93. And then through a game this year, it was 3.05. So slowly over time, Brock has been holding the ball longer and longer, while Mac Jones doesn't really play that way because he's not a playmaker. He doesn't scramble. It seems like Brock maybe falling in love with that part of his game a little bit more, or you could argue that it's necessary because the protection is breaking down. But then with Mac out there, he's playing a different way. I think this might bring out the best in Brock because I think he needs to tap back into his inner Drew Brees and not embrace his inner Russell Wilson so much.
I think you're making a really good point. The point, I think, that where they're similar, and Shanahan even said it, I think maybe earlier this week in one of the pressers. He's like, they're both really good ball distributors. And that's kind of what Brock was initially. But now he's evolved from that to, hey, more of a playmaker, run around and this and that. Yeah. And I think, there's that old saying, you can't go broke making a profit. Mm-hmm. And there was 4 or 5 plays yesterday you can count where Mac Jones, like, there's nothing. Oh, and then Mac completed it for 4 yards. Well, guess what? That keeps you ahead of the chains. So I think Brock is holding the ball to try to make more plays, to try to extend plays, partly for the touchdown that he threw to Tongas. Yes. Because Brock can extend plays and he can run around and he can break you down the way Russell Wilson used to. And I think that's an advantage that he and only he has, really, between these two. But I think you're right. I think if he watches Mac Jones play on time and in rhythm and be more of that distributor, I think that will motivate Brock to get the ball out of his hands in rhythm. I think that's what we're really talking about. It's about rhythm. And there's times I thought Brock's rhythm last year wasn't nearly as good. And then I think also when you run as much as he did last year, your risk reward, dial gets altered a little bit. And I thought it was perfect his first 2 years. So I like that Mac Jones is going to be a distributor and get the ball out quick. And I think it will show Brock that, you know what, that might be just the way to go. Just get it out of your hands. You got a whole room full of playmakers. And 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, maybe more like 6 or 8, you're going to have Aiyuk, you're going to have Robinson, you're going to have Kittle, you're going to have a room full of nice top tier weapons, and getting the ball out quickly and into their hands is probably going to be the motivation or the name of the game. So maybe Mac to some degree is kind of showing Brock how great you can be in this offense if you're just committed to be a distributor.
To me, it seemed like you said, Brock had this down when he first got on the field. He wasn't trying to extend plays as much. And I think he had so much success early on, and it blew people's mind, like me, that people were saying, well, he's a system quarterback. These guys are wide open. The players are incredible. This is quarterbacking on easy. It's just the system. And he hears that, and he wanted to, establish himself as an elite quarterback, get a $265 million contract. And I think he is sort of self-conscious in that sense. Like, well, what do I have to do to prove that I'm elite? Oh, I have to play like Josh Allen. All right, I can play like Josh Allen. And he can to a degree. Like, he does have this whole improvisational flair that's fun to watch. But it seems like he's really trying to prove that he's one of these guys when it's like, man, you could just play like Mac Jones, win a lot of games, make a lot of money, have great stats. You don't have to prove that you're someone you're not. Because when you do try to run around like Josh Allen, you get hurt. Josh hurts people. You are 6 feet. You're my size. You shouldn't play like that. I'm just saying.
I would just say, hey, if I was talking to him, I would say, hey, look, let's simplify, guys. Let's just process and distribute. Process and distribute. Process what they're giving you. Take what the defense is giving you. Get the ball out of your hands. Establish a rhythm. I mean, I like the game 1 a little bit more than game 2. From the standpoint of, I like the 49ers as a team better when they dominate the time of possession and Bosa and Huff are gassed up in the fourth quarter. Because I think if you get a gassed up Bosa and Huff off the edges, or a gassed up pass rush, foursome with Gross Matos and Mikel, who had a great game, I think that's going to be a force. That's going to be a finishing force for the Niners. So, to me, if they can play more complementary football, dominate the time of possession, run the ball a little bit more, but that's what I would prefer. But I was encouraged to see Mac throwing it for sure.
It seemed like both Mac and Brock, at least this season, had done a good job on third down, moving the chains by any means necessary. Brock can do it with his legs and extending plays. He's so similar to young Russell Wilson. What I like about Mac, for a pocket quarterback who doesn't move that much, if it's 3rd and 14, he's throwing a 15-yard pass. He's not checking it down on 3rd and 14 and hoping. Like, he made some really nice throws on 3rd and long yesterday to move the chains. I mean, that's, to me, the mark of a starting quarterback. I guess that was my other takeaway from this game. He's a starter. He's a starter. He's been on some terrible teams, and that was one of the better signings in the league this year. He's making $4 million a year to play starting caliber quarterback and be your backup. It's nice.
It's truly unbelievable. And this is the advantage. Basically Darnold gave the 49ers a huge favor, did the Niners a huge favor by how often he talked up Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. And then, did Darnold look good with the Niners? No, he started one game and he lost to Carson Wentz at home.
Yeah.
And he took a terrible sack on the goal line late, and he looked very much like Sam Darnold, but somehow he still got broken off. He still got paid in free agency. And this whole message of, hey, man, go to San Francisco. Look what they did for Darnold. And he talked up Purdy more than he talked up Shanahan. I just think that Jones, and I mentioned this before today, Jones, the smartest move the Niners did was not signing Jones. The smartest move the Niners did was signing Jones to a 2-year deal. Because if Mac Jones is forced to play, I don't know, 5 or 6 games this year, and let's say goes 5-0 or 5-1 or something like that, the Niners are going to have attractive trade offers for him in the offseason. Right now, they were looking at him when he was kind of like, You got to save your career. Are you really an NFL quarterback? They're going to show that he is an NFL quarterback, and one that's got a really cheap, affordable $7 million price tag or whatever it is. And I think there's going to be, I mean, the Niners are going to have to resist the urgency to hold on to him, or he wants to start someday, but he's a luxury item right now. But I think someone's going to offer them a day 2 pick. I really think they'll get a day 2 pick or more for Mac Jones when they go to trade him. And I think they'll be a trade market for him.
I think Mac is loving being on the Niners right now. He knows what it's like to be on terrible organizations. And right now, all that's happening is his stock is going up. The Niners are like quarterback rehab. Like, oh, you went to a bad organization, you had some traumatic experiences, and your career is on, life support. Come to the 49ers. You may not play that much, but you'll learn Kyle Shanahan's system. It's a system that like 14 teams use. You'll be instantly employable. It's like football boot camp. I mean, all of a sudden, you're ready to go. So it worked for Darnold. Mac Jones sees that it's going to work for him. This could be instructive to the Niners. If it doesn't work out, paying Brock Purdy $53 million a year. Don't ever try to trade up for another quarterback like Trey Lance again. Don't go after the draft. You can take guys in round 7, but you have a little formula here. You can take these guys who were top 10 picks and were, completely mismanaged by their original team or a couple of teams, bring them over here, sign up for $3-4 million, and get that top level talent that the other teams couldn't unlock. You've done it a couple of times now. I mean, that's quite a cheat code that most freaking teams can't do. Something to think about.
Well, and
it's working for the Colts and Daniel Jones.
When he came out of Alabama, there was that long article about him, and I think he came across as kind of like a partier and then kind of a bad body guy, and maybe a guy who was elevated by Bama, and was he really even NFL? And there were just kind of people that were all over the map on his evaluation. And now I think it's pretty obvious that, he's even though he doesn't necessarily verbally sound like a really bright guy, he's very football smart. He's very dedicated to his craft. He plays on time. If you said to me, what was the most challenging moment of the summer for the 49ers, I would tell you it was day 1 against Denver in Santa Clara in that joint practice. And Grant, I don't remember if you remember it, but I remember it very clearly. Mac Jones was worlds better than Brock Purdy on that day. I'm not trying to establish any kind of quarterback controversy. I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you the facts. That day, Brock Purdy, and I don't remember, you guys kept the numbers, but it was like 15 of 35, or it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Yeah. It was like 16 for 32 or something.
It started off really rough. Yeah.
And Mac Jones completed a high percentage like he had all summer. So I don't know what to make of that, other than that was an eye-opener to me that, hey, you know what? Maybe Mac Jones is a little bit better than we think. And I also thought he wasn't going to fit in here, but he has fit in incredibly well. And I think it's because he's got a good sense of humor. He can laugh at himself, but he works. He's a worker. He's put himself through the mental reps. He really looks like he's been in this offense for a number of years. He does not look like a neophyte in this offense. And if you look at his career, 56 touchdowns and 7 picks at Bama, a Pro Bowler as a rookie with New England. And then all of a sudden he looks up, it's Matt Patricia is his OC. And the next year it's Bill O'Brien, and they have no weapons at all. The next year he's backing up Trevor Lawrence. So his career has taken kind of a 3-year detour through hell. But you know what? The guy was good as a rookie, and he looked good yesterday.
He's one of the guys. He does a really good job. When he came out, I didn't think he'd be a leader in the NFL. Like, this guy's a little weird, but no, he's authentic. He's funny. He's self-deprecating, and he like really makes the effort to have relationships with all kind of different people. Did you notice that he was one of the first guys coming down the tunnel with the next to Trent in the boombox? Like, he was dancing and singing. I mean, no offense to Brock, but you would never, ever see Brock do that. Brock is very buttoned up. He dresses like a math teacher. He's very serious. I don't know that he has a sense of humor. It must be kind of refreshing to look at Mac as like, man, this is no type of NFL quarterback I'm used to. And yet he's a confident, freaking cocky, swaggy dude.
It's funny. I think Brock is pretty freaking funny though, because Feliciano said, "Dude, Purdy does the most ridiculous impressions, and he cracks people up." So I got to ask Brock about that.
You think he can do a Kyle Shanahan impression? I wish. Give us a Kyle impression. Come on, you make more money than him. You can do it. You can do it.
That would be epic. I mean, I don't know if we could, Niner PR would literally, they would storm the podium and not let him answer that. I mean, I don't think they would, but yeah, no, I think you're right though about Mac. I think that he's, I was joking on Twitter today, I retweeted that boombox thing. I'm like instead of swaggy P, swaggy Mac, but yeah, he's got some swag. He's got some juice. He's got some life. He's kind of likable. I don't know about you, Grant, but we talked to all the players at the podium. Every time Mac has popped in there, I leave walking away going, I like that guy. I think that guy's funny. I think the things that he says are interesting and funny. And he's laugh.
Not a BS artist. He's not a BS artist. Like, he tells you the truth. He was like, look, I didn't play well at the beginning of the game. I was nervous. That's an issue of mine. I've been working on breath control. It's like, what professional athlete ever admits to being nervous ever?
I know.
It's endearing.
And he's not I like the attitude.
It's not like he's taking credit for stuff, or saying like, Jesus put me in this position and I'm so blessed. It's just like, I'm doing the best I can. You really should give the credit to my teammates and my coaches. Hard not to like a guy like that. Not that, and again, I said that Brock might not have a sense of humor. He probably does. He's just so curated in front of the press. He's a legit franchise quarterback, and he carries himself that way. Mac does not, and it's kind of nice.
I think Brock is the kind of guy you want your daughter to marry. I think Mac is the kind of guy you want to invite to your guy's road trip.
Yes.
Mac is the guy
Brock would be like, hey man, can we turn this music off? Can we put on some gospel? Brock, it's like, man,
Brock,
can we? No.
Brock will give you that suggestion that keeps you out of jail. Mac will be the guy that hangs upside down in beer bongs.
But it's like he's not Johnny Manziel though. It's like he knows when to do that and when to lock in and be serious. And I think if he was a clown, none of his teammates would respect him. But he's not a clown. He's I don't know. Anyway,
he's a competitor.
And I think he thinks he's better than Brock. And I think it's good for Brock to have a backup who thinks he's better than him, because Brandon Allen didn't.
Yeah, that's why I've been saying all offseason, I really think this is the underrated move, getting Mac, because signing Brock, there was always the chance that you would get a guy who either believed his own press clippings, though I didn't think that would be the case, or just was trying to live up to this massive contract and was in his head a little bit. Having Jones there, I think, resets the whole thing, and Brock is just like, hell, if that guy. I bet you Brock Purdy's injury healed tremendously during that game.
I agree.
Healed tremendously.
Another thing that people just can't. I mean, we all love Brock Purdy's story. I kind of like Mac's story, because Mac got humbled. He was a first-round pick. He was doing the 100 mil, went to Alabama, and then he learned how cruel the NFL world could be, and he was pretty much on the way out. So I think it's easy to pull for someone to like pull their career together. Where with Brock, it's also easy to pull for Mr. Irrelevant, but he hasn't really been humbled yet. And everyone does in life. You have been, I have been, he will be, Mac has been. It's kind of interesting to be like, well, Mac's kind of the underdog now. I kind of like Mac. Anyway, they've both been underdogs at times.
I think the Niners are in a great spot. I think they're in an absolutely great spot. And especially because you get the feeling that Mac and Brock, or even though they're trying to get the same thing, that they're going to get along. It's like, I think Brock, gets the respect because of his preparation. And I think Mac seems like a guy that understands where he is in his career. I mean, has anybody had a tougher road than Mac Jones? You're replacing Tom Brady. You're working for Bill Belichick, and he takes his defensive buddy in Matt Patricia and he makes him your fucking offensive coordinator.
That was
what?
Weak.
And then you're in the media market like Boston on the tail end of their dynasty. You don't think there were some stats about Will Jones versus Brady. And I don't remember there ever being like some kind of screw up where he stepped in it and all the Boston media was just crushing him. So he dealt with the media firestorm of that. He dealt with the decline of the Patriots. He dealt with being kicked to Jacksonville and basically being banished. And this was the first time in his life that he's actually, since college, that he's been able to say, you know what? I want to play there. Here's my career. I've got it in my own hands and I'm going to put it here. And I think he made a great decision. He probably could have gotten $1 million or more from somebody else. But you know what? He's like, hey, look what Brock Purdy's process did for Darnold. Look what this offense did for Darnold. Look at what Darnold has. I personally think, and I've always thought this, I think this guy's better than Darnold. Darnold's a bigger guy, better athlete, a little bit more stronger arm. But I think Jones is the more accurate player. He's the smarter player. He's the better processor. I think he's a better player than Darnold.
If Darnold could get the 3-year, $100 million contract, Mac Jones could get the 3-year, $100 million contract in a couple of years. And the Niners got him for $4 million a year right now. That's just good team building. Joseph Ernberg thinks he's better because he is better. F Brock. Man, you
Ernberg, very
not
negative.
like Brock. Why F Brock? What did Brock do? I like Brock. What's
Ernberg? Brock, I mean, come on. Brock was Mr. Irrelevant, and he went to a Super Bowl with him, and he's been, pretty much lifted this team up by himself at times, and you're going to crush him because Mac Jones has one good game.
I understand why fans were kind of like, didn't like Jimmy, because you always kind of question how dedicated are you, man? How come your coaches talk to the press about how they can't get you to call them back in the offseason? Like, that's not okay. But Brock's not like that. Deshaun DeVoe says, is it me or does Mac look more like Drew Brees than Bro, since that's who they believe brought to be?
Is it me or does Mac look more like
Hugh Brees? I think he talked to text that one. Maybe one of the reasons that Mac was so good in this game was because it was indoors. I don't know.
I mean, it's just part of the country that he's comfortable in, right? I mean, this is, New Orleans. I mean, he's played at Bama, maybe coming back here in this humid weather. And I just think he's simplifying things, Grant. I think he just understands. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna run Kyle's plays and distribute the football. And as long as he doesn't turn it over in mass, they're going to be great.
And it's interesting again, because Brock is way beyond this. It's not enough for Brock to execute. Brock has to show that he's worth the contract, and that's a dangerous place to be. I think it's good for him that Mac is here playing the way Brock used to play. Larry, it is time for us to enjoy one last night in New Orleans. You got any special plans?
Nothing special other than Kevin and I are going to go hit some place and watch the Chargers and Raiders. Nice. We have a really, really, really early flight, like 5 a.m. early. So we'll be probably doing the New Orleans thing. We're going to stay up all night and just go to the airport at like 2 or 3, So
nice. Well, I'll catch you guys.
We're going out with a bang, man. We're going out with a
bang. That'll be fun. Thanks everyone for watching. Real quick, Joseph Ernberg says Brock's weak arm makes him irrelevant on this team. On that note, thank you very much, Joseph, and everyone for watching. Brock, if you're watching, I can't control Joseph. He's his own guy.